everyone, and welcome to another episode. We're so excited to have our guest on today. I can't wait to tell you all the amazing things she's doing. But first, go ahead, Hannah, introduce yourself. Tell us where you're from. Tell us what you're all about.
Okay, hi, I'm Hannah Cabrera. I am a local author here in San Antonio. Originally from San Diego, California, and I've moved around a lot. I'm an Army wife, so we kind of go wherever the Army takes us. Um, but originally from California. What I'm all about, I write books. So I write mostly middle grade fantasy books. I also have some picture books out, and I have a young adult book as well. So I have about 8 published books right now, working on a 9th. And yeah, I try to write books that really speak to children and adults alike and help them with their lives.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. Okay, so going on 9 books, how did you get started? Were you always wanting to be an author, or is this something that just kind of came to you? Tell us all the story.
So yeah, I actually have always wanted to be an author. It's funny because my brother just found a box full of my stories from when I was a little kid and sent them to me. I just got them yesterday, and I was reading through some of the things that I wrote from like probably first, second grade on. I was writing stories, and I mean, I found a notebook from 7th grade where a teacher had written, "Please keep everything that you ever write." Which was really cool to read, because now, as a published author, it's been really cool to go back and look. But I have been writing for a long time, but I haven't been publishing for that long. It's been about a year and a half that I published my first book in October of 2024. And so I kind of decided that no one was going to come to my doorstep and knock on my door and be like, "Hey, I heard you're a great writer. Why don't we publish all that stuff for you?" Like, nobody was going to do that. If I didn't reach out, if I didn't put in the effort to get my books published, they weren't going to be published. So yeah, I just kind of had to go for it finally.
That's awesome. So I talk to people all the time, and they really struggle with that leap of, like, they know they're a great writer, they have some great content, but actually, like, being vulnerable enough to really put it out there and publish it. And it can be a little scary. How did you find the strength or the confidence to be able to do that and accomplish it in such a great way in such a short amount of time?
Yeah, well, I really have my kids to thank for that. So the first book that I ever published was a novel that I wrote for my daughter, and my oldest daughter at the time, she was 10, and she asked me to write her a chapter book for her birthday. And I was like, okay. So I wrote her this book. I had written a few manuscripts before that of completed novels. But I said, this one's short. It wasn't very long. I said, I can probably edit this and publish it. And then I was like, and I don't care if anybody reads it. I was kind of like, it's fine. I'll just publish it, and it'll be out there for people if they want to read it. But then people did start reading it, and people did start buying it. And I was getting very positive feedback, and I was like, you know what? I really want to keep doing this. And I think that was the courage I needed. Was I just kind of got my foot wet, there at the beginning. And then I was like, I really want to. And I'm still working quite a bit on getting myself out there, putting myself in schools and going and visiting different places and on the internet and growing, a following on social media. It's a lot of work. And I think when I decided that I was going to take it seriously as a job, that's when things have started happening more. But yeah, I think you just have to just do it. Just do it.
Absolutely. I always say, do it afraid.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it does take a lot of strength. And like you said, work, it's a lot of work. A lot of people, they think you publish your book and then, millions of people go out and buy it. But, nobody can know how wonderful your book is if they don't know about it. So Exactly. It's one of those things where it is a work in progress constantly. And then you're always changing with times and the trends. And then, whenever you're trying to do social media and all the marketing, and then this works now, but it might not work in 6 months. And it's just so many things. How did you navigate that? Did you read books? Did you talk to people? How did you navigate how to really get your book out there?
I mean, honestly, I am still navigating that, and I am still learning so much. And I feel like every day I'm just learning everything. I just barely, probably a week or so ago, I just barely hit 1,000 followers on my Instagram. One of the great things, though, that I found on Instagram was a community of authors. And you will find that, like, if you find the right community, they are really great. Nobody is withholding information. They are, especially as, self-publishing and being in the indie community, you find a lot of people who are willing to share their knowledge because they know how hard it is and because they want others to succeed. We're not competing with each other. We want to see each other rise. And so as I have gained a little bit more knowledge, and like I said, I am still navigating all of it. I'm still learning. But as I learn it, I am sharing it on my social media. I'm sharing it with other people that I meet that want to be authors. Anybody who has any questions with me, if I can answer them, I will. But a lot of times I can't. But anything I know, I'm like, I'm going to share it because that's how we survive. That's how we're going to thrive as a community of authors, as people. We have to share our knowledge with each other.
Hi, my name is Justin Clark, and I'm the president of the board of directors for Driving Single Parents, a 501c3 nonprofit serving the citizens of San Antonio and Bexar County, Texas. I'm here today to tell you a little bit about the great work that our organization is doing for the citizens of San Antonio. What you're about to see is just a few photos and videos of the way that we're changing lives for single parents in and around San Antonio, Texas. Our first giveaway took place in April of 2017, just one short month after the formation of our organization. John, a Bexar County resident, was the victim of a horrible drunk driver incident. He and his daughter survived the crash, and we were so proud to give our first car to this deserving family. Fast forward to 2020, a very difficult year for nonprofits. We were able to secure 4 vehicles for single parents in need. Our organization, including our board of directors, list of partners, and portfolio of people we've been able to help in San Antonio, continues to grow, and it's all thanks to donors and local community organizations that have helped us along the way. This giveaway took place in 2021 and shows that we continue to help single parents even after the struggles brought about by COVID-19. Because of limited funds and the overwhelming need, we at Driving Single Parents are incredibly selective with the people we help. Some are victims of domestic violence. Others had a spouse pass away tragically or otherwise fell on hard times. These single parents show adversity in the face of challenge and aren't looking for a handout. We offer a hand up and help get them back in the driver's seat. Many of the single parents we help go on to graduate college, get promotions, get married, mentor others, and some have even been so touched by the gift we gave them that they have decided to join our board of directors to pay it forward and ensure the continued growth of our organization. If you would like to help our organization continue to grow and continue to help single parents in need in San Antonio, Texas, and Bexar County, Texas, we would really appreciate your support. Please visit us online at www.drivingsingleparents.org. Thank you.
There's so many times when you have knowledge and it just kind of stays with you. I think the whole point is to really share that knowledge, because if you share with someone else and they share with you, you might gain knowledge and give knowledge. And then that's how you can grow, and not just grow you, but grow the people around you. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things in the world, especially with authors, because I've seen the same thing where authors are very, very willing to kind of share, hey, this worked, this didn't. Maybe try this, or that might be a good option, or I'm going to this book festival, why don't you come too? They're really good about that.
Yeah, I San Antonio Writers Guild on Facebook. I joined their group, and that's how I found out about the Twig bookstore, which is downtown by the Pearl.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I went and got my book. I went and talked to them about consigning my books there, and I have done 3 or 4 signings there now. I think 4 signings there now. And my books are all available there. And the people there are just so amazing and so gracious and so wonderful about answering any questions I have about the community, book community. It's just a really great group of people. They want people to read. And that's the best people want people to read.
I agree. Those are some incredible people. I've also done a few book signings there, and they are just so kind and so willing to help navigate everything. So I also love them over at the Twig bookstore. Really cool. Little small shop. Love it.
They're wonderful.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you wrote that chapter book for your daughter. What was the book about?
So the book is about a mom and her daughter, her 10-year-old daughter, who they start reading a book together and they get sucked into this fantasy land and they get sent on a quest to find a dragon and they have different things that they have to do. They meet a troll and they meet a wizard and a fairies and different things. But the mom and the daughter go on the quest together. And I wanted to write something where I got to go and I got to participate too, because you see a lot of times in middle grade books, almost always in middle grade books, the parents are never included. The parents are either dead or they're oblivious to like what their kids are doing. They're not really an active part of their lives. And I feel like if I was going to go on an adventure, especially as a kid, I would have wanted to take my mom with me because moms know a lot about a lot of things and we're very useful and we have lots of resources. So I ended up writing that book for her. And then it's a whole series now. So there are 5 books that go together and they follow that magical book called Open Me for Adventure. And each story has a different protagonist that finds the book and they're sucked into the book and the story continues in that magical land.
That's incredible. So do you plan on continuing that series or is 5 your tops?
5 is done. It's over. I wrapped it up really nice. I'm not a big fan of series that go on forever that have, like 10, 15 books. I'm like, no, that's good. 5 is good. I wrapped it up. I finished it. With the last 2, actually all the heroes come back in the end. So there's a big battle and everything with the major bad guy and stuff. And all the heroes are able to I based the books off of mostly the main characters are based off of my own children. I have 4. So
Oh my goodness.
I had to keep writing. I couldn't just write one for my oldest.
I know how that goes. That's awesome. So you start this series, you do this for your daughter. What made you take that leap to say, I could do something else too for that second book that you wrote that was not part of this series?
So I actually had written the standalone that I wrote that I published back in July of last year. It's called Roses in December. I actually wrote that back in 2023. And that one I wrote for a thing called NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month. Just you sit down in a month and you write a book, 50,000 words. It's a challenge. And it's actually the second time I'd done it in my life. And I just kind of brain dumped this idea I had about memory traveling, about being able to travel back in time using your memory. So I actually wrote this book before I wrote the Open Me for Adventure series. But it was a little bit longer, it took a lot longer to edit and to get it out there. And then I actually have another one that I'm working on right now that I wrote back in 2018. It was when I first did NaNoWriMo that I, again, just brain dead. When you're writing 50,000 word novel in a month, you have to write 1,667 words a day. So and if you miss a day, you're writing just a ton. And so there's a lot of just brain dumping. And so it takes a lot of time to edit, to go back and be like, does this even make any sense? Is this even a story I want to pursue? And I have finally gotten to that point with this one where I've sent it out to beta readers. I've gone through and edited it quite a bit. And I'm getting ready to get that one published this year as well.
Oh my goodness, how exciting. So you're talking all about your, author journey and how you started with the book with your daughter, but you had written several before that and now you're publishing those. There might be somebody who's watching the show right now thinking well, what are some tips? I've had so many people tell me that they sit down with pen and paper and they just don't know what to do. And they can't figure out how to put the words on. And so I always give the advice of it doesn't have to be perfect at first. Brain dump, like you just said.
Yes,
yeah. Then you sort it all out from there. What would be your number one tip for anyone who might want to be writing a book?
Okay, this is my number one tip. Don't use AI. This is my number one tip. Use your brain. Your brain is such an amazing, powerful, creative tool. And even if you're feeling stuck, even if you're feeling like you might not have the words exactly, your story should be told in your voice with your words. And I believe that everybody has a story. I believe that everybody has a story that they can tell in a way that nobody else can tell it. I don't think that there is a limit on how many people should be writing. I think that everybody should write. Everybody should write. Everybody has a story. And so I think that, if you're feeling intimidated, I used to do this thing called stream of consciousness, where I would just grab a pencil and a notebook and just write whatever came to my brain, and then go off on tangents, and then just write, just fill it, like just make your hand move. Like I said, brain dump, and then go back and see if anything is worth keeping. There is a lot of room to edit, to go back and to delete and to tweak things. But yeah, just get started. And sometimes you have to stop. Sometimes, I mean, there was a point where I was working on the 4th book in Open Me for Adventure, and I just got to a point where I didn't know. I knew what I want the characters to do. I knew where I wanted them to be, but I didn't know how to get them from point A to point B. And I just sat on it for weeks and weeks and weeks. And sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you just take a break or start working on something else. Start working on a totally different project. But be creative, go outside, like go into nature. One of the prologue of the 5th book that I wrote, I got the idea for that while I was running in a park. Like, just saw some birds and I was like, I'm going to write a story about these birds. So go out and be inspired by nature, by other people. But you don't need a computer to do that.
So true.
Hi, my name is Andrew Fraley, and I believe that sometimes we all need a little bit of help. If you're in the San Antonio community and you need some legal help, call me at 210-725-4658.
And I like how you're talking about, just brain dump and just put it all out there and just start writing something, anything, because once, that one thing that you write may not be, something that's going to be tangible or something that you're going to run with, but that one thing you write down might spark an idea of the next thing. And sometimes if you just get all the noise out of your head and just kind of get it all out, then it'll start to think about step 2 or step 3 or step 4. You can really move through that way. But if you just leave it in there swirling, it's almost like it just stays in there and you can't get to the next step. So I love that you talk about doing that, just getting it out so you can move forward and spark new ideas. And I love that you talk about going out into nature, change your environment, because it'll give you a different level of inspiration. I mean, there's so many great tips, but I know you talk to a lot of people who are authors or want to be authors, and I'm sure you've heard the exact same things from people where they just kind of get stuck and they don't know what to do, so they do nothing. And I think that's like a really, really hard thing, because there's so much, like you said, there's so many stories out there and so many things that people have to share in their own voice that is just so beautiful. So I'm so glad that you're sharing all this with our audience today.
Yeah, I think another thing too is just discipline. Like you said, a lot of times, like, people just don't do anything; they just stop. And that's the thing. Like, as an author, the imposter syndrome is very real as an author, because no one comes to you and says you're an author, or you don't go to a job interview and they're like, okay, congratulations, now you're an author. Like, you just say you are one and you write a book and then you are one. It's like, that's what you do. And even if you're traditionally published, self-published, an indie author or whatnot, imposter syndrome is real. But the thing is, you make the choices. And so if you want to do this, you have to discipline yourself. You have to set deadlines. You have to, my daughter and I are actually working on writing a book together right now. And I said, okay, if we want this to be finished, we need to make a deadline. We set a deadline for the end of this summer. And we had to create small goals, like, okay, we're going to write, every week we're going to have this many chapters done. And you have to set, like any goal that you want to accomplish, you have to set smaller goals to reach that. But you make your own deadlines. You are your own boss, and you have to be tough on yourself sometimes.
I agree with that. Self-discipline is very, very important. And it can be very challenging, especially with busy lives and a lot going on. And it's easy to make excuses, but just as easy as to make excuses, you can make excuses why you can instead of excuses why you can't. Mm-hmm. So I love everything that you're sharing today. So you say you're writing this next book, book number 9. Tell us a bit about that. Can you give us any inside details?
Yeah, so I actually wrote this book, like I said, back in 2018 for NaNoWriMo. It's called My Stepsister's Wedding, and it is about Cinderella after she has gotten married to the prince, and she has 2 young daughters. It's 10 years after the fairy tale ends, and she gets a letter from her stepsister saying that her stepmom is dying of cancer or some kind of illness. And so she goes back, and with like some encouragement from her fairy godmother, she actually goes back and lives with her stepsister and her stepmother again, and her stepsister's son. And so it's about family dynamics, and it's a lot about forgiveness and about complicated family situations, but based in like this fairy tale setting that people are familiar with. So yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. I can't wait till it comes out. When will be the release date? Do you have one yet?
I don't have one yet. I'm actually looking to submit it for traditional publishing in the next couple of weeks. And if that is something that doesn't work out, I will probably be my goals are to have it out by the fall this year, whether it's traditionally or whether it's indie publishing. Traditional definitely takes a lot longer. There's a lot more hoops you have to jump through. So when I have complete control of it, it'll be this fall if I go that route.
Wow. Well, we'll be looking out for it. Can you give the audience an example of a little thing that they could do in their community that might just be a little give on their end, but might make a big impact on the other side?
Okay, so this is at not as in a community you could do this as well, but I think on the family level, read to your kids. Like something very small, read to your kids. Like family reading time is so important and so precious, and I think it's something that we don't do as much as a society. There's a lot of screens, there's a lot of computers and phones and tablets, but reading to your kids and having them read to you is such an important thing. Or if you don't have kids, if go and volunteer at different schools and different things, have people read. Reading is so important. Or donate books is also a really important thing. Books, I'm just really passionate about them.
That's a fantastic little give. And actually that results in a big give because it's spending time with family off the screens, spending time with the community if you're doing it, a volunteer at a bookstore or a school. So that can really result in a big give that could leave a lasting impact on these kids.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. So can you give the audience an example of a time in your life where somebody did something little for you that might have just been a little give on their end, but really made an impact on you and in your life?
So going with that idea of reading, my mom always read to us, and she always read to my kids. She had a passion for books. She had a library in her basement. She has a library in her basement still that, anybody could go and check out books from her library. But the time that she spent with us at nights reading to us made a huge difference in my life. I know so many stories because of her. And then not only that, but she read to us. She read the same books as us. As we got older and we were reading chapter books on our own, I always knew that my mom was going to read whatever we were reading. She took the time to know what we were reading about so she could talk to us and discuss it with us. And that was a huge impact on my life.
Ah, that's beautiful. Right back to reading. I love that. Reading and writing is definitely something that you're really passionate about. And I love that. And I think that those are both fantastic things that can really help the world in a lot of ways, and people too. There's so much knowledge you can gain by reading. There's so much out there. I can't say enough about it.
Yeah. It's so, I mean, right now with everything with like, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a little bit anti-AI, generative AI a lot of times because it is robbing people, and especially the rising generation, of thinking, of being able to think and formulate ideas for themselves. And that is really hard for me to watch, where my daughter will be like, yeah, the kids just do their homework with AI. And I'm like, do your own homework. Use your brain, write emails, write letters, read things. Like, it's so important. If we are going to make a difference in the world, we have to use our brains. We have to have critical thinking skills. And it's so, so important for our communities to grow, and for people to have empathy, is to understand other people's points of view, to read and to write and to have critical thinking skills is really important.
Very, very important. Very. Thank you so much for sharing all of that with us and all your little gives. What about nonprofits? Are there any nonprofits that you're excited about?
So this is actually one I just discovered. It's called Well-Read Roots. And it is a local San Antonio nonprofit that is just starting out. Their mission is to get the books into the hands of kids, basically. And so they accept donations of used books, of new books, and then they get them to homes so they can be read. And like you can tell, I'm very very passionate about books, very passionate about people reading, and so any place where kids are being able to have that access to books, it's really important. So they're a great upstart nonprofit here in San Antonio that's just starting.
Yes, I just spoke with the founder the other day. Yeah, she's going to come on the show as well. So that's great that you're
awesome.
featuring them now. Give my audience a little teaser, and then we're going to have a follow-up story with the founder. So that's awesome.
Perfect. That's
Yes.
great.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that one. That is a really, really beautiful nonprofit, and I'm thrilled to have it as part of the show and to be able to help them grow. So why don't you tell the audience where they can find you and get to know more about you and also get all those books?
Okay, so my website is Hannah, Hannah, Cabrera, Cabrera, author.com. And then you can go on, you can find my books all there. You can find all my social media links there. Anything you want to know about me is there. I have a blog, and also a contact form where you can message me directly. If you want to message me directly, email me. My author email is authorhannahcabrera@gmail.com. So that is also a good way to contact me. And yeah, I love hearing from people who read my books, who want to read my books. I will always respond. And then
Wonderful.
Mhm.
Go on.
No, I'm good. I think that's it.
Well, everyone, Hannah told you exactly where you can find her and learn more about her and all she's doing and where you can get those books at. Go and find out more, learn more, get in touch, send those emails. You have a question about becoming an author or one of her books or reading a book or a comment, or you want to give a review. Really, it's truly, authors absolutely love to hear from you, hear your stories, and hear how they can further serve. So please do reach out. If that nonprofit really touched your heart today, please go to their website, find out more. Make a donation. $1 or $5 multiplied by the many people watching this episode today truly makes a huge impact. So thank you all so much for watching. Hannah, thank you for being on today, and I can't wait to see you all next week.
Thanks, Cindy.
If you enjoyed this episode of Little Give, head on over to our website at littlegive.com. You'll be able to find all the information about previous episodes and past guests that we've had on. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on Little Give, all the information is also on the website. And if you have a nonprofit that you love and would like to recommend be on the show, all of that information is also on the website. We really appreciate you watching today, and we can't wait to see you again next week.